This is David Taub with GV Wire, here with State Controller Betty Yee. Uh, Controller, you want to start with some comments you made at a speech you gave today at the Valley Venture Forum,
Yes.
talking about the necessity of the various water districts in the state. What is your plan? Because it sounds like you think there may be too many of them.
There's not a plan, but I will say that, as we either audit them or have look at their financial transactions reports that they submit to the state controller's office, some of them don't show much activity, so it does beg the question, why do they still exist? So we are taking a look at and seeing whether there is some opportunity to consolidate, and if so, we will be making some recommendations around that.
Is it the bigger districts, the smaller ones?
Well, there are a lot of small districts here, and I can only imagine over the course of history, since California's statehood, just the need to establish some governing bodies to manage water. And so there are many, many small districts in the Central Valley. I'm not sure of the exact magnitude, but and what we look for, frankly, is to be sure that all local governments, all local agencies are operating with strong internal controls. And so we do look at the financial reports that are submitted by all these entities to the controller's office, and if they either show no activity, and obviously the ones that show any kind of abnormal activity, we would likely flag for an audit. But here we're just saying there are many water districts that have existed that really aren't showing a lot of activity. So what is their business?
All right, now the election is right around the corner, and you've been a on-camera presence for the Prop 55 campaign.
Yes.
Why do you support Prop 55?
I support Proposition 55, not because I think it's good long-term tax policy, but it is proposing to continue the tax rate on the richest Californians. It's about 1.5% of Californians who will pay the highest income tax rates for another 12 years. And this is an extension of a provision under Proposition 30 that was approved by the voters in 2012. And we believe, and I believe, I say we because I think there's a collective group, particularly those who are advocates for public education, where we have seen over $50 billion in cuts that took place during the Great Recession to public education, including our higher education institutions. And Proposition 30 generated just a little under $32 billion of that back. But what we've seen with Proposition 30 is just tremendous improvement in public education. Graduation rates are rising, class sizes are being reduced. We have teachers who are now staying on the job longer because, frankly, the Great Recession was a period where teachers were used to getting pink slips every year and not knowing what their future looked like. So we still have a teacher shortage in California, and I believe that what we need, and certainly for every young person's experience in the classroom, the teacher is, really the greatest asset. So we hope to make up the gap in terms of what had been cut and what education still needs with Proposition 55.
And how would you respond to say that that Prop 55 is a little disingenuous since Prop 30 is only supposed to last a certain amount of time?
Right.
It's a little disingenuous to say, well, now we're going to extend it.
Well, the reason it's on the ballot was because it was temporary, so the voters have a decision to make whether they want to extend it for another extended period of time for 12 years, or whether they believe that the temporary increases were enough and that we have made ourselves and certainly our schools whole by this time. So it's a decision for the voters. I also believe that we need the revenue to pay the bills for the state of California. I'm pleased to say that for the second year in a row, we've not had to do any external borrowing to pay all the bills for the California, and that's because the legislature has had the resources to really pay down our debt, and so we have internal borrowable resources where I can manage the cash for the state and pay the bills without doing any external borrowing, which would cost additional to California taxpayers. So, and frankly, the work that really needs to be done was something else I spoke about. We need comprehensive tax reform in California. The reason why we're even having this conversation is because we have spent decades layering over an inefficient and outdated tax system.
So finally, you're in Fresno today.
Yes.
Home of the person you beat for your election a few years ago. You still friends with Ashley Swearingen, or were you ever friends with her?
I want to just say to the mayor, we ran a great, clean campaign. I was very proud there were 2 women leaders in this race, and I have the tremendous respect for Mayor Swearingen and what she's done for the city. And, I know that she will continue to make contributions in her new role with the foundation beyond her term as mayor. So I look forward to working with her. As I said in my speech, the Central Valley is the heart of the state of California, and frankly, if you don't have a functioning heart and a healthy heart, the rest of the state will start to feel unhealthy as well. So this is a tremendous focus of my work, is to be sure that regions like the Central Valley are not left behind. And what I think shows great promise, and particularly with the forum today, is just how much grit this region of the state has in terms of the people just really stepping up and doing everything it can to build strong communities, to build a strong economic sector, diverse economic sector just for the valley, but also to accrue to the state. So it is important and critical that policymakers focus their attention here in the Central Valley region.